How do you become a millionaire? That is the topic of today's episode of Business Growth Secrets. Let's dive in. I hope you enjoy. You want to be a millionaire, make a decision to be a millionaire. Then put a timeline on it, put a deadline on it.
I was working, all the time, really hard, trying to achieve what I wanted to achieve.
I've made that decision. I'm now going to follow through on the decision.
You have to have support.
So, no. You make the decision. So, hey everybody, welcome back to Business Growth Secrets. Really happy to have Inga back with me. Amazing previous episodes. So really looking forward to what we're going to discuss today. I know you got some questions. So first of all, how you been doing?
I'm amazing. After first episode, do you know how many calls I received? I could not believe, what the branding gives, oh my gosh, yes. But, the thing is now, because you achieved a lot in life. So I do have a role model. And how did you become could you tell me a little bit about your journey? If I will ask, how to be a millionaire, probably this question wouldn't sound right, but how to get...
Ask whatever question you want.
All right, okay. How, maybe let's put it like that, can you share some few key strategies, and the actions you took to achieve, to become where you are, to be a millionaire?
Okay, great. So that's a very big question. So we're going to have to unpack that.
Adam, you are big. Well, I don't mean you big, but you are massive. Your business is massive. Everybody just seeking of, everybody just wants you to, to teach them, to lead them, because people calling me now, and said, Inga, how did you achieve that? How did you get there? And I'm really proudly can say, Adam taught me.
Brilliant. Well, let's try and unpack that right. Great question. So if someone was watching this now, a lot would depend on what their starting point was. I have written an entire book on this subject, which is called Millionaire Success Secrets, what the steps are. And I'll try and unpack this in a nice condensed format. So the first thing you need to understand, first thing you need to do is make a decision. And that decision is that you want to become a millionaire. That is the first thing you got to do. And you got to say to yourself...
Can I interrupt you?
Of course, yeah.
But it's really scary to think big.
Yeah.
Wasn't you scared at the beginning to have this in your ingredient in your mind, that I wanted to be a millionaire? Wasn't you scared to think that at the beginning?
Was I scared to think that at the beginning?
Was it your plan to be a millionaire?
Yeah. I when I was 16, I remember I clearly wrote out, what I wanted to do and what I wanted to accomplish, and I had that in a little book. And I remember my brother and one of his mates finding it and teasing me a lot about this subject, And the thing is, I made that decision that's what I wanted. And the thing is, I made that decision young. Now, it doesn't matter how old the person watching this is now, they can make that decision. And if they make that decision, that's the first step. I really believe, for me, that's the first step. And I think that's the first step for everyone else. Because why? Because this doesn't happen by accident, right? And it is a journey. And to be honest with you, it is a lot of hard work, right? To get to that stage. That is difficult. It's tough. It's hard. But if you make that, when I made that decision, it was just like, that's what I'm going to accomplish, and that is it. That's my goal. And that is the same with anything. Any type of decision you want, you make a decision, and then you travel towards that destination. So that's the first part. So step one, I would say, is you make a decision. That's what you want. Step number two is, interesting enough, we kind of had a brief discussion on the last episode where I said, you have to know where you're starting from. So what we need to look at is, where are we now? And when we look at where we are now, we have to look at, is the vehicle that I am currently in taking me towards this goal or not? Now, what does that mean? Well, if you made a decision that you want to be a millionaire and you are working 5 days a week in McDonald's,
Yeah.
and if you don't change, you're not going to achieve that goal. It's going to be very unlikely. Do you make sense?
It makes, but it means, you have to change your mindset. The thing is, if you're working in the McDonald's, right, your mindset is different because you're serving the customers. And as you're always saying, if you are in the room with millionaires, with 5 millionaires, you'll become 6. But if you're in McDonald's, I don't want
You
to
hang
believe.
around with Big Macs all day, you'll get fat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the thing is,
Believe me, I've been there, because this is the reality. Is I worked at KFC,
But
and I was around Twisters every day, and I did get fat.
did you?
Yeah, I put on some weight while I was there.
All right, okay.
But the point of what I'm trying to say is,
Yes.
what I'm
How
trying
did you change the mindset? How did you change your mindset? What did you get? Because I was working, all the time, and if I was working, really hard, trying to achieve what I wanted to achieve.
It starts with a decision. So let's go through this, right? It just starts with a decision. Let's say I made a decision that I want to get in better shape this year, right?
Okay.
I put it off for half the year, pretty much. But then I was like, right, enough's enough. I've made that decision. I'm now going to follow through on the decision. So I said, where am I right now? I take stock of where I am, right? Not really in good shape, put on a little bit of weight, not feeling great with energy.
You have to have support.
So
You can't do
no,
it.
you make the decision. And then I said, well, what do I want to do? Well, I want to be this way. I want to feel like this. And now I know where I want to be. I've made that decision that I want to be there. I then have you've got to have the discipline to follow through. So the first thing I did is I realized that there's things I'm really disciplined at and focused on, and there's things that I'm not. Like getting up and going to the gym in the morning is not something that I personally...
Who supported you through this young journey? Was it your mum always behind you? Because I know your mum. Well, I know his mum. She's a lovely lady. Absolutely, very bright, very, very, sophisticated and everything. That. Yes, was your mum who supported you? Was a mum who...
No,
you?
it's
or
and this
your
is the thing
friends
about...
or someone you have to have you.
But then this is what I was saying about the gym example. So I get a personal trainer, and then that personal trainer holds me accountable, and now I'm exercising.
16
and now
years
I'm getting,
old.
No, this is now.
Oh, now,
this is
yeah,
like
all right,
recently.
okay.
It's just another example of a decision. But basically, you have to make a decision. It's the same with any decision. Well, I want to start a business. Well, where are you right now? Well, in order to start the business, you need to do what you got to do. You got to go and make it happen. Where do you want this business to go? And everything basically starts with a decision. So I think you have to make that decision, and then you have to travel towards the decision that you've made. Now, the support, you're right, comes along the way, but the decision has to come internally from you. On the last podcast episode that we talked about, this is the exact pattern that you had. You said, I want my life back. I'm not going to work 77 hours a week. I've got to do something different to get something different, and I'm not going to carry on working like this. So you made that decision, and then you travel towards where you wanted to be. See, that's how you start to create change. Now, a lot of people don't make the decisions out of fear, like you said, out of self-doubt, a lack of confidence, and all these different areas, and that's okay. But what they then have to do really is just two paths. I'm not telling anyone at all that they should want to make that decision. If they do, great, and I wish you the best of luck. And if you don't, that's okay too. Because what you should do is you should live the life that you want to live. For me, that was the life that I wanted to live when I made that decision at 16. This is the thing. When I made that decision at 16, I had no idea how to do it. I was completely naive and ignorant to the challenge of what I was attempting to do. So I had no idea, frankly. I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the tools. I didn't know how I was going to get there. And frankly, probably a bit delusional. But the difference is I made the decision anyway, and then I worked the rest out. And as I went along, and that's when I got the support. So that's when I started to develop myself. So I'd like to try and step it out a little bit for everyone watching the podcast, so I can give them the practical steps, which means I almost have to give you more of a story. I'll give you very quick highlights, right? I made a decision at 16 I want to become a millionaire. I carried that decision with me. That drove my thinking, my actions, and the things that I did throughout my career. So, for example, I worked at, and I write about this in the book, I worked at Ford for 3 years. I loved it there. I had an amazing time. I had amazing friends. I enjoyed what I did, but I knew if I stayed there, I wouldn't achieve my goal. So I moved on, right? That's what I did. So what I'm saying is that decision was guiding what I was doing. And it was, and this is often talked about. So in corporate companies and large companies and in good small companies, what they have is they have what they call North Star. So North Star is, you know, the fable of the three wise men.
Oh, yeah.
Follow the star to find Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Now, the North Star of the business, the North Star is something that corporate businesses have in place. And what it does is it guides their decisions. So this decision for me that I made was my North Star. Every other decision I made along that journey was to get to the goal. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I was following the star.
I'm pinching that from you.
Yeah?
Yes. My decision will be there, and no, my goal will be there,
Yeah.
and I will. Yeah, thank you. You know,
So-
we're talking, but I'm still learning. I'm taking notes.
Good.
It's just like every single nugget.
Good. Now, when you study business deeply, which you are, and I'm sure many people that are listening are doing that as well, you will hear about North Star in corporate culture. There's other language for it. So someone might call it a big, hairy, audacious goal. A BHAG, right? Now that BHAG, Jim Collins in Good to Great talked about the BHAG, which is a big, hairy, audacious goal, right? And the purpose of this is this big, hairy, audacious goal is where you want to be. Now, you might zigzag, you might go around, you might even go backwards at times, but as long as you keep following the star, the big, hairy, audacious goal, you end up being where you wanted to be. Now, where coaching can come in is it can just keep helping you on the track. So these are the steps I would say. Make a decision. You want to be a millionaire, make a decision to be a millionaire. I'm going on this journey, right? And now you've made that decision, then put a timeline on it, put a deadline on it. When I did that, I said, I want to be a millionaire by the time I was 30. I remember telling two good friends that I worked with Ford at, and one sat next to me one side called Brad, one called the other side Terry. And I told them this, they both laughed. But I said, well, I'm going to be, and I love these guys. They're great guys.
You're laughing.
Yeah. No. And they will probably remember that. They laugh. But, actually, I think when I spoke to Brad once about it, he goes, I thought you'd do it. I thought you was going to do it. But anyway, that help me make the decisions to move forward and go and do what I wanted to do. And then what happens is, then you assess your vehicle as you go along. So when I made that decision, I knew that I had to keep upgrading to get there. I knew that the version of me that was a millionaire had to be a lot better than what he currently was. So that meant I just had to keep upgrading myself, and I keep having to get better. So that's when I moved on from Ford, I moved on from BMW, and that's why I started my first business age 25. Because I'd set that deadline, I wanted to be a millionaire by 30. I thought, well, unless I start my first business, I ain't going to hit this goal. So that's why I did it. And like literally then I did it, and I had no idea what I was doing when I started my first business. I didn't know anything. All the things we talk about, I had no idea. I knew nothing. I was useless. I was naive. I made loads of mistakes. I had a lot of issues.
You're still calling that mistakes, but that was not mistakes. That were
Well, I could have done
learning,
things better, and I could have done it faster, and I could have learned from other people's mistakes, which I didn't do that. The best thing that I could have done.
It's learning, this failure is you fail when you stop failing, you lose something, when you, I don't know, but mistakes are good, isn't it? You learn from the mistakes.
We do, but I don't know if you've heard the saying, a wise man or woman learns from their mistakes.
Yeah.
But a genius learns from other people's mistakes.
So you're a genius.
No. No, I'm not saying that. I'm actually saying the opposite.
All right.
That I had to learn from my mistakes.
All right.
Because I made so many, and that's why it took me so long. Right?
Well, I can,
But by the time
agree to disagree, because you are always, you, in my eyes, you're very wise, and you're learning from others as well. What you're trying.
I do now. Now that's my priority. is to make as least mistakes as possible and to get the right people around me to constantly give me the guidance that I need. So that's why, I spend a lot of time with Sarah. I spend a lot of time with a lot of smart people that help me to do these things. And really the completion of that from 25 to 30 years old was ups and downs, working hard, lots of errors, lots of, all these different things happening. And by the time I was 30, I did hit that goal. Now, at the time I was 30, I didn't have £1 million in the bank, I don't think, but I had a couple of £1 million in net worth at that time. And then eventually, by the time I was about 31, 32, I had over £1 million in the bank for the first time, which depends on what your definition of a millionaire is, right? Whether you base it on net worth or whether you base it on liquid cash, it depends on what your definition is. And I did it. And then what's quite funny, not funny, what's quite ironic is that once I'd hit that, it took me a little while to re-find a new North Star, because actually I ended up going in a different direction. And this is when I found coaching and speaking. It felt like a cycle completion, because I'd had that goal for so long that when I did it, it's like, what do I do now? And I kind of got into that place that I didn't have a North Star guiding me. And I think I encountered some problems and challenges because of that, and ended up making a few more mistakes. But then you have to create your next North Star. So when you finally find your North Star, you have to reset and you have to say, where am I now? Where do I want to be? You make a new decision, you go on a new journey, and you build new skills.
Yeah. So talking North Stars, what is nice, probably you're the guy as Atlantis guy, that you are seeing stars and giving stars to others, showing the stars to others to follow, the star, that is really nice. What I would like to say, that is really good what you're saying, because as I said in previous episode, you taught me to love again, to fall in love again what I felt in love is before. I'm talking business, and that's nice. That's nice from the bottom of my heart. There's just I feel that, that, and it's really good that you're sharing that with others. So you're saying that mindset is really, really important for the people, right? Discipline, mindset,
focus, discipline. Never stopping until you get to where you want to go. Are kind of your critical elements. And what I would layer on that, just to add some practicality, because there's. Hopefully that's very helpful for people listening. Yeah, but then the practicalities of that is what you have to do is you have to be constantly monitoring what's holding you back. You have to constantly almost be shedding your skin, your weaknesses. If you're a bad manager, you've got to get better at managing. If you're a bad leader, you've got to get better at leading. If you're a bad marketer, you've got to get better at marketing. If you're a bad salesperson, you've got to get better at sales. And you've got to shed your skin and you've got to build skills, because the thing that makes people wealthy is skill set. And that is what builds you towards wealth. And that is the game. That is the training. You've got to be training your mind constantly, sharpening up constantly. That I would say to people, go deep on these things. Find out what's holding you back. What is the skill set that is holding you back? People don't like doing that. I like doing that. I like going, right, I need to get better at this, and I will immerse myself in the thing I need to get better at in order to get to the next stage. So how do you know what is your thing? So someone that's watching, how do you know what's stopping you? Is the thing that you're afraid of. If you're afraid of speaking, that's hurting you, right? If you're afraid of selling, that's hurting you. If you're afraid of marketing, that's hurting you. If you're afraid of people, letting people in, building relationships, that's hurting you. Only you who's watching and, know what you're afraid of, but that is an indication of what you should be working on.
Yeah, that's nice. I know you're on many podcasts talking about that, but do you have some question you never was asked, about how to achieve millionaire, status, and you would like people to ask, and you would like to give this one of you advices, what your main advice piece would be to the people who would like to become millionaire. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm asking? Because I really would like to know just one single piece of advice, how to get on the path to become a millionaire.
Yeah. So I think the first thing, the mindset part is, as much as it's a money goal, and it sounds like a money goal, you should be focused on the version of you become when you achieve that goal. So what is the version of you that's a millionaire? So if you look at it like that, you say, well, the version of me that's a millionaire is a smarter version, a more focused version, a more disciplined version, a more healthy version, whatever it is, the version of you that is that's what you have to work towards. So I always looked at it like that, the version of me that I was when I was younger compared to the version of me that actually got there was somebody that was a better leader, a better speaker, a better marketer, a better salesperson, somebody that was, more skilled. And another thing, that's what reveals your weaknesses. So what is the version of me that looks like that person? So you get into the vision and then you build towards that. That's what I would say.
Thank you. That is good, and when you become a millionaire, people with loads of money, sometimes they're slipping off the road, and they need more discipline, and they don't know what to do with the money.
Well, I'll give you an example.
The financial discipline probably, and the balance while enjoying the fruits of efforts as a millionaire. That.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you a different. I'll spin it in a different way, because actually becoming a millionaire now is not as big, perhaps as what it used to be, because there's more money in the world today than there ever was. It seemed like a big, hairy, audacious goal when I was 16. But let me tell you, I haven't made the decision that I want to become a billionaire. Okay? Because I don't, right? Because I'm not actually that bothered about the money, right? And one, I'm not bothered about the money. And two, that goal's 1,000 times bigger than the goal of becoming a millionaire. And I don't want to dedicate my life to that cause. So I haven't made that decision. Does that make sense? Now, if I made that decision, that would be guiding me, and that would guide everything that I do. But actually, I'm happy with where I am in life. I'm happy with spending time with my family. I'm happy with the business I run, the people I help, and the things I do. That I don't need something now in my life that is going to take me to a different place, and I'm comfortable with that, and I'm happy with that. Pardon?
That's nice.
Yeah. Well, it's different,
really
but
nice.
people, when someone's listening, I say that because you don't have to do anything. You do what you want. Yeah. Maybe your goal is that you want to have a £100,000 business. Maybe you want £1 million business. Maybe you want to, maybe your goal is to have 3 kids and a house in the country. Whatever you want, you go and do it, right?
But what is nice
but make the decision is the point, and then commit to the decision. But you have to think through. I have thought about it at times. Would I want to do that? And I'm like, actually, I don't really. And I think that's really good, because that can help guide you. Yeah,
guide you to. What is nice, when you're a millionaire, you can be very snobbish and da. But what's nice about you personally, you share your knowledge. You want other people, to achieve what you achieved. That is really nice. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully this episode has helped take you in that direction, and you've enjoyed it. Tell us either in the comments, or if you're listening on podcast, Spotify, wherever you are, hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, connect with us. Tell us what part that you enjoyed, and perhaps if you're loving the podcast, the way that it grows is through reviews. So go ahead, and if you just take 3 seconds to 5 seconds to go and tap the 3 dots and give us a 5-star rating, that would be truly appreciated. And we love seeing those reviews come out. Often read them out on the show as well, and to acknowledge our listeners. And look, we Really appreciate your support in the growth, and hopefully you found some great value in today's episode. Thanks for being on, Inga. You're amazing.
Thank you. That is really nice golden nuggets, that I've got. I even took the notes, I just still growing every
Good.
single moment. Thank you.
Fabulous.